Morning students. Today we are going to discuss about the Basidiomycetes. This also comes under Fungi kingdom. Here, these Basidiomycetes are commonly known forms of the Basidiomycetes are mushrooms. Mushrooms or bracket fungi or puffballs. These are commonly comes under Basidiomycetes. Here, they are commonly known as club fungi. These are Basidiomycetes are also called as club fungi. Here they grow in soil, on logs and tree stumps and living plant bodies. Living plant bodies as the parasites. You have to remember always the fungal organisms are always heterotrophic. Here they are parasites. For example, the rust and smuts. Rust disease is causing by the Puccinia and smut disease which is causing the Histiogo. Here the mycelium is branched and septate. The Basidiomycetes fungus organism is branched and septate. Here the sexual spores are generally not found. The sexual spores are generally not found. But the vegetative reproduction by the fragmentation process. But the vegetative reproduction takes place by fragmentation. Fragmentation nothing but the fungal mycelium which is broken down in any situation. That filament, that hyphae, that the mycelium which is separated from the parent organism and it is grown as a new organism. That is called the fragmentation. Here the sex organs are absent. Here the important one, the sex organs are absent. But here the plasmogamy is happen. Here, but there is not karyogamy. Here the plasmogamy is happen. Plasmogamy is by fusion of two vegetative cells or somatic cells. Plasmogamy is brought about by the fusion of two vegetative or somatic cells, but not the nucleus, nuclear fusion. Just only the cytoplasmic fusion is there. Plasmogamy is nothing but the cytoplasmic fusion, but not the nuclear fusion. Here, this is the primary mycelium. Here the plasmogamy is which is occur in the primary mycelium of different strains. Plasmogamy of different strains, plus strains or minus strains, different strains. Here plus strains and minus strains. Here the resultant, after this here what happens, the resultant structure is dikaryotic and produces a dikaryotic secondary mycelium. See here it is a plus strain and another one is a minus strain. Here these two vegetative cells are fusion and produces a single cell, but it has two nucleus. It is called a plasmogamy. Here the cellular component, the cytoplasmic component are mixed up, but not the nucleus. See, this is the plasmogamy. Here there is no nuclear fusion is there. That is called the plasmogamy. Here, what happened? The secondary mycelium which has two nucleus. Here, this secondary mycelium which is ultimately gives rise to Basidia. Here, the karyogamy and meiosis takes place in the Basidium. Here is the karyogamy, plasmogamy, then follows karyogamy. Then after the karyogamy fusion is there and after the meiosis division is there. It leads to the haploid spores. Here that takes place in the Basidium. Here where it is Basidium and here the producing the 4 basidiospores. How many are there? 4 basidiospores. Producing each Basidium has 4 basidiospores. These basidia, these are which are exogenously produced on the Basidium. These spores, basidiospores are produced on the exogenously on the Basidium. Here these are there the 4 basidiospores are arranged on the basidium here, and these basidia are arranged in the fruiting body. These basidia are arranged in the fruiting body, that is called basidiocarp. This is called basidiocarp. Basidiocarp. This is the fruiting body of the Basidiomycetes. Fruiting body of the Basidiomycetes is basidiocarp. Here, these basidia are arranged in fruiting bodies, that is called basidiocarp. Here, example, see this. This is agaricus. There is a mushrooms. This is also known as mushrooms. Agaricus ustilago. It causes the smut disease in jawar. Coccinia. It is causes the rust disease in the wheat. Here, the Palliporus. It is also called as a bracket fungi. And lycoperdon. It's also called as puffball because of the basidiocarp. This look like a ball-like structure. That's why we are calling the puffball. Here, these are the examples of the Basidiomycetes. These are the general characteristics of the Basidiomycetes. Then we will learn about the Deuteromycetes. Here, these Deuteromycetes are commonly known as imperfect fungi. Imperfect fungi. Here, why we are calling the imperfect fungi? Because the only asexual or vegetative phases of these fungi are known. Here what happened? There is no sexual stage. There is no sexual stage. Only the stages asexual or vegetative. Asexual or vegetative stages there. That's why we are calling the imperfect fungi. Here the Deuteromycetes reproduce only asexual spores. Asexual spores are known as conidia. Asexual spores are known as conidia. Here the mycelium is septate and branched. Septate and branched. Here some members of these Deuteromycetes are saprophytic or parasitic, while a large number of them are decomposers. Decomposers also. Decomposers are litter and help in the mineral cycling. Decomposers are help in the mineral cycling. Example, alternaria. Here it is causing a early blight disease. Early blight disease in potato. Here the Cultrotrichum, it causes a red rot disease. It causes red rot disease. And third one, the Trichoderma, it is also used as a antifungal. Here it is antagonistic to the other fungus. That's why it has the antagonistic activity to the other fungus. These are the general characteristics of the Deuteromycetes. I hope you are understood. Thank you.